From the Asgard Company Studios in beautiful Wichita Falls, Texas, from the finest mind in the modern fitness industry, the one true voice in the strength and conditioning profession, the most important podcast on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, Starting Strength Radio.
Welcome back to Starting Strength Radio. It's Friday, and Friday is a good day, because Starting Strength Radio is Friday. We're here with our friend Grant Broggi from
first try
from
South Carolina.
Broggi from South Carolina by way of California, South California.
Misplaced, as Nick D likes to say. A guy just living in the wrong state.
South California.
That's right.
You ever heard of a song by Chicago called South California Purples?
No. Good one?
Fabulous. First album, South California, instead of Southern California.
Instead of Southern, yeah. That's
South
what I've been
California.
calling it, South California.
South California. It reminds you of home.
Reminds me of home, you know? That
Right.
and guns and pickup trucks.
Yeah, all over South California.
Yeah. I mean, they are now.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Things are different in South California these days,
That's
aren't
right.
they?
Big change.
So, Grant owns a couple of gyms in South California. His company's called the Strength Company, Strength Co. And he's Grant's, I hate to tell him this to his face, but
Here we go.
Grant is kind of an impressive guy.
No, don't tell me that.
And he's just separated from the Marine Corps as a captain. And I don't know why he didn't make major, but
I'm in the reserves. There's still a shot.
there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Right. So he's separated from the Marine Corps, from an officer's career in the Marine Corps, and he's in the gym business now. But as you may be aware, things have been rough.
Real tough in the gym business.
In the gym business recently.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to talk to Grant about today is how you adapt to stress. We talk about the stress recovery adaptation cycle as it applies to training, as it applies to biology, right? But as it turns out, the stress recovery adaptation cycle applies to business as well. And so, Grant, first off, let's talk about what happened in South California back in
early
March.
So it started trending towards the way that, it looked like things were going to have to be closed. And so we early on did some things, first week of March.
We're going to be closed, whether they
we're
had
going
to be or
We're
not.
going to be closed. Early March started, up in sanitation, doing stuff to make people, feel comfortable, subside the fear. And then March 17th, my county said all gyms had to be closed. And so we closed that day. We finished training that day and shut down. And so I just said, I brought all the coaches to my house, or most of them. And I said, tomorrow we're going to take everything out of the gyms and give it to people because this isn't going away anytime soon. And when I say give it to people, I mean to our paying members.
Loan it to them.
Loan it to them.
Right. Let them take the equipment home so they can train.
Yeah, because it's like, hey,
Right.
There's no point in being locked up in a building.
Right.
And if you don't, as a business owner, if I stop providing value to my members, what's the first thing they're going to shut off? The gym membership, right? Because or anything they can't use.
Sure.
So we
anything they're not perceiving to be of value.
of value, right? So we deployed the all the equipment. But I mean, I got 150 members in 2 gyms, and so it's 16 power racks. I got extra bars, maybe 25 bars I had in total, and weights. So you very quickly, I don't have enough to outfit everybody.
No.
So we started making some stuff, Home Depot squat racks that we had made in Afghanistan, makeshift stuff, and just sending it to people. And then about that time, this is about a week, 10 days in, besides my members, I got them all outfitted. Now everyone wants gym equipment.
Right.
Which you've seen here as well. right? And so quickly, boom, what's the price of what do you usually pay for a used crappy York 45 per pound? What's that worth?
Well, right now,
No, beforehand.
I bought them for years for 25 cents.
25 cents a pound?
Yes, for many, many years. Used barbell plates were a quarter.
So I always thought 60, 70 cents.
Yeah, 60, 70 cents is a good used price.
Yeah.
You know, recently, new, accurate, quote unquote, cast irons worth, up toward $2 a pound.
Right.
Right.
And so then I start looking for extra weights. And early on, had a little chance and timing work out, found a warehouse, bought a whole bunch at, 40, 50 cents a pound if I bought it all. And so I had some stuff to, to start moving around. And then all of a sudden, every rusted plate in California was $2 a pound.
Right.
And they were getting it.
Yeah.
So it just became out of control.
So what essentially happened was people wanted to train.
Yes.
There is a demand for this product, for training, for our approach to training, for barbell training. There's a demand for this product. I'd like to think that we helped create that demand for this product over the past 15 years of the work we've been doing here at Starting Strength. But the demand was persistent, and supply went down.
Yep.
And what we know from the law is that when demand is up and supply is down, what happens to price?
Economics.
Price goes up. This is like gravity.
Right.
It's just what happens. It's just what happens. It's one of these things that it's like, just a mathematical relationship that doesn't vary. And whether you want it to vary or not, it doesn't. So you've got a situation now where old, rusty, junky ass plates are worth $2 a pound.
Yep.
What does that mean? Good plates are worth. Well, more than that.
Well, a lot more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
So, because people want to train,
Right.
you see an opportunity. And what did you do?
Well, so now I'm looking outside my members, all these people calling. But the thing is, everyone's holding on to their finances, right? They don't want to. They don't want to spend a lot of money. They're worried. They don't know how their job's going to work out. So I thought, okay, a temporary solution, right? We don't like squat stands. They're no good for what we do. But what happened? People that wanted garage gyms, home gyms, already had them. These are people now, especially in South California, one-car garage that they park their car in. So I thought, how do I fill this? Okay, squat stands you can put up against the wall. You can put all your training gear on the side, back your car up. So we start making some steel squat stands, and I just start trying to acquire weights. Here's the next problem. Now a guy calls, hey, you can get a squat stand, $350. Here's how to make a bench. We'll make one for you. Here's deadlift mats. And they say, okay, what about the barn weights? And I would just say to them on the phone, I got $200 in that rusted bar, and I got $2.20 in those rusted plates. What's it worth? What should I get out of this? And they said, well, wait, I need 400 pounds. That's going to be $840. I said, yeah, that's how much I paid for it. I know. It's already out of my pocket.
Right.
And so I started doing rentals, saying, hey, here's a set of, 300 pounds. I'll do it for $200 a month. You buy the equipment. Now you have some stuff to rent. And look, I want you to train. So if 4 months from now I've gotten all my money out and maybe, gotten something so it's worth my time, I'll call you and say it's yours. Keep it, right? I'm not trying to get rich on rusted plates. My thing was I want to give them an opportunity to train so that I can teach them in your method. So when they buy a squat rack, I call them and I say, hey, you get a free form check from a starting strength coach. Guess what? If they've never trained and they have someone that actually teaches them how to squat, they go, oh, I'd like to do this 3 times a week. And so that was kind of what the gap, I was trying to fill is how can we make it so that people can actually get coaching and get stronger?
So idea was to provide a way for people to continue using your services.
Right.
Right? To maintain a relationship with these people you've cultivated as customers. And
new ones.
And here's the bad news. Barbell training requires barbells.
Right.
There's not any way to do that. We've had so many people post on various social media on the website. What do I do? I don't have access to barbells. How do I barbell train?
You don't.
And I'm just had forced to say, look, I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
I can't make up be down. As thoroughly as it's been done recently, you can't make up be down. And if you have to squat, you have to do it with a bar,
right?
And you have to do progressive resistance exercise.
Which you can't do with body weight.
You can't do that with body weight.
And
you
that's
can't
the
train.
thing is every lots of small business, gym, fitness people said, okay, we'll just switch to body weight stuff.
But it's not training.
It's not training, and it's not what we think is effective.
It's not what we know is effective.
It's not what we know is effective. So it's okay. How do you provide a solution to that? And then what happened to all the body weight stuff? After 3 weeks, turns out people don't like doing.
Turns out that you plateau. You can only do how many air squats can you do?
Right.
And what happens to your squat when you start doing 100 air squats? What happens to your barbell squat when you start doing 100 air squats? It goes down.
Yeah.
Every single time. That's what's wrong with CrossFit. It's what's always been wrong with CrossFit. High-intensity glycolytic exercise destroys strength. So here we are with some fundamental physiology that can't be argued with.
Can't be changed.
Can't be changed. You can't change this physiology. So we have to barbell train. We have to figure out a way to do it. So what do?
Well, then you have the shortage. Then the shortage just got worse, right? I think I went to Texas Strength Systems actually before when the Marine Corps canceled my reserve drill March 14th. And I had been following this stuff, but I was like, oh, this is going to be real bad. If the Marine Corps, if DOD doesn't want to bring people in, then it's going to get bad. So I went to Texas Strength Systems and I bought, 4 or 5 barbells, which then ended up, their orders must have spiked the next week.
Oh, yeah. And I talked to Mitch Stacy at CAPS yesterday, in fact, and the 20-kilo starting strength bars are available to order now. And as of today, he said about 6 weeks they'll ship. They're waiting on material. And so this is people that haven't been following this very closely do not understand the depth of the disturbance within this economy,
right?
That is taking place as a result of everybody being locked in their houses. As it turns out, you can't lock everybody in your house and have the economy continue to function. The only satisfying aspect of that is that sales tax revenues to the municipalities are
down.
That's satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
It is. You lock us in our houses, and then you want us to. I don't know what you want us to do. We can't spend money, so you can't collect sales taxes, so you get fucked, and that's good.
And then now, as things open up, everyone's still kind of afraid to lose money.
It's
right?
going to take because everybody's uncertain about whether they're going to have it to spend. So everybody's being frugal right now, and spending is at a low, and it's just going to take so long for this whole thing to get back to where it was.
Right.
Now, we had the strongest economy in the history of the United States in January of this year. And now look at it.
Crippled.
And now it's destroyed. It's maimed. It's maimed, and it'll take years for this to recover. Major airlines are making projections that their business won't be back to January 2020 levels for 3 to 5 years.
I was talking to someone from
Major airlines are mothballing their fleets, chopping them up into
DFW went from one airline who I was talking to someone who works there from 950 planes for a particular airline all the way down. They were all the way down to 200.
Yeah.
And now they're back to 400, but they think it'll be like 2022, I think she said, when they're going to be back to the full amount.
And you know what happens when you park an airplane for a long time?
It breaks.
Yeah,
it breaks.
Airplanes are worse than cars. You can't just leave them in the garage while you're gone for 5 years.
Right.
They require regular
kind of like your body if you sit in your house on the couch for 2 months. You gain some weight.
It's not biological, but it happens nonetheless.
Yeah.
It just
So one of the things I've seen though is, so as we start doing all this, LA Times did a piece on us. So we start getting a bunch of people that have no idea what starting strength is, because you've always driven most of my business to me. But now I have all these people that are just looking for gym equipment in California. So now I get to get them on the phone, and then they're calling me for treadmills. They just think I can produce whatever. I said, look, you need barbells. It's the simplest thing. You don't need a whole lot. And, I get to tell them now about starting strength. And at a minimum, I'd say, here, buy the book. Take the book and see it. And so one thing I've seen, and I don't know if you've seen the same thing, is people are now realizing that they need like a simple approach to training, right? That, like it's on the rise. Like it's book sales. I mean,
you're absolutely right.
They're like, oh, I don't need to do all this nonsense. And what do I actually need to do?
And one of the casualties of this event in world history is
big commercial gyms.
Big commercial gyms.
Done.
Big commercial gyms. God, they've been adversely impacted. Yeah.
Bunch of gold shut
corporate
down.
Bankruptcy, closed a bunch of corporate closed all their company-owned stores. 24-hour, I think they declared bankruptcy.
Yep.
Because these great big giant clubs
the
operate on a giant amount of overhead.
Right. And
if there's any disruption whatsoever in their traffic, on a thin margin, they collapsed.
Right.
Gyms like we operate are running on a much, much wider margin.
Right.
Because our overhead is so much
less. The equipment cost is so much less.
Equipment costs are overwhelmed.
A bunch of treadmills.
You don't have big company gyms that have got 200 pieces of cardio equipment on the floor. They don't own that.
It's all leased.
Yeah. The lease company owns it, and they've got to make a payment every month.
But either way, whether it's the small gyms like ours where you're paying for service, and you see that if the service isn't provided people in their membership, or on the Planet Fitness side or those gyms, when people can't go, they shut it all off.
Yes.
And so,
because there's no point in
even
paying,
though it's $24 a month.
Now, Planet Fitness is $10 a month, and they're just fine. But Planet Fitness is not about fitness. It is a sales organization.
Right.
It's not.
Yep.
They're not in the same business.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
Different business than we're in completely. But a low overhead gym, because our gyms are small footprints. We're 1,500, 2,000 square feet. Our rent is less. Our equipment is inexpensive. We don't have a whole bunch of recurring costs like a lease payment on a whole bunch of cardio equipment to make every month.
My biggest cost is my 10 coaches.
Yeah.
Right. That's my overhead.
Right. That's essentially the whole of the overhead and utilities and rent.
Sure.
Okay. Now, in a situation like we're in right now, the first casualty of that occurs within this entire business structure is commercial rent.
Right.
You stop paying your rent because you haven't got the money to pay it, and that in itself is a what's complicated. That's complicated. You start. Yeah, we're still looking at how this is going to. The state of California, some genius, and you guys have got some real gems out there, don't you?
GEM.
GEMS.
And some real gems. GYM.
You've got some idiot in the state assembly that's introduced a bill that says that in the event of a dispute between a commercial tenant and the landlord, that you have 30 days to equitably settle the dispute or the lease is terminated.
Terminated.
Lease is terminated. Now, I don't know if that got signed by the ingenious Governor Newsom, or if it even got out of, I think it was out of committee, but I don't take me completely serious lines, but I saw that some idiot wanted to just do away with commercial real estate leases.
Right.
Because that's what that means.
Right.
That's what that means is that the commercial real estate business no longer has a cash flow guarantee with a lease agreement with the tenants. Now, to show you how complicated economies are. Who's going to loan money now
Right.
on commercial real estate in the state of California?
No one.
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody would do that. And then if nobody is loaning money on commercial real estate in California, which is a big, giant piece of the economy out there, the bank doesn't make money on the loan.
Right.
Commercial space goes unleased.
It's a mess.
Payments go unmade. Insurance companies go
right, because now I'm not getting insurance. I just dealt with this yesterday.
This thing is so the people don't understand. I've heard these idiots in Antifa say, "Well, what do you care if we burn your sandwich shop down? It's insured." This is the depth to which they understand things.
Right.
A, it's not insured because there's not a commercial insurance policy in the United States right now that's operating without a clause that excuses them in case of terrorism or insurrection.
Right.
That's specifically excluded.
Right.
And did it not occur to this little pasty white girl who said that, well, you care, it's insured, that there's more involved here than money? It's my business. All my shit is in that building.
Right.
That you're trying to burn down for me.
I was using my gyms to manufacture stuff, store stuff, and then get it out. Right. Now I need to open them up. I just decided, okay, I'm opening them up. So Memorial Day, open it up. Well, guess what? I now have all this stuff that doesn't just stop. People don't just stop wanting the things they're wanting, so I need a space for it. So I find the space. I'm trying to rent it. And
so this is in other words, you're going to move your manufacturing that had been taking place
inside
in the gym footprint into a different location. Rent another building.
So I go to rent the other building, and it's 1,200 square feet, industrial space, roll-up door, whatever. I'm going to store stuff in it. And so I go in, I tell the guy, he's like, whatever it is, a square foot. And I say, hey, I don't want to do more than a year. I don't know if the manufacturing business is going to have a bunch of depth. Like, give me a year spot, and offer him this per square foot. Guy calls me back and says, they took your price for square foot. And I'm like, of course they did. Pandemic pricing?
It's on sale.
He goes, but they only want to do month to month, which is great for me. But I think, why on earth would a commercial real estate guy not want to lock me in for 12 months?
I don't understand
because
that.
I don't pay the rent, right? So what is he thinking? He's thinking I get the place, pay the first month's rent, security deposit, and then I say, I'm a small business, I'm going under, I can't pay the rent, I'm applying for these protection places.
He immediately has an obvious place to rent to somebody else.
And now I'm locked up in that place with some type of government protection, waiting on some type of bailout to pay my rent, whereas if he puts me month to month and I don't pay his rent, he just says, okay, get out of here. I mean, it worked out great for me, but I just thought,
it's fine.
What does the commercial real estate industry come to
that
they want to give me month to month?
I can understand his position.
Of course.
It's
but
perfectly
that's how
rational.
Bad it is. That's how bad it is.
And for those of you that don't understand bad, how is a guy that's got a space that's generating him income only on a month-to-month basis? By 45 days from now, that place may be for sale or for rent again because he's moved out. How does he make plans?
Yeah.
How does he make plans? And if he can't make plans, what you just have to start thinking down the ladder, okay? What if the guy that owns that commercial real estate wants to buy a house?
And he has no revenue coming.
And he has no way to guarantee a revenue stream.
Right.
Does he get a mortgage? This is the same thing that's happened to those of us in businesses that have been declared non-essential.
Non-essential.
How do I go if I've got a non-essential business like a bar, a little cafe, someplace,
small
gym, small business of any kind that's non-essential, and I decide, business has been pretty good for 2 or 3 years. I think it's time to go ahead and get out of my rent house and buy a house. How do you get a mortgage?
Can't. Nothing to show for it.
And if they can't lend me money for a mortgage, what about the house I was going to buy?
Right.
Does the house get sold or does it sit there for sale? There's just so much, and
So
just
many
on
ripples.
and on
Yep.
down the ladder.
Yep.
You know, it's just, as it turns out, economies are very, very complicated, and lots of people are going to be getting a lesson in economics very, very shortly. So I think it's interesting, though, that you were able to, and here's a new vocabulary word, pivot.
Oh, pivot.
You like that? When did that happen?
Pivot.
When did we
I
start
hate
pivoting?
that word. Pivot.
It's
Did you pivot? Look at you. You pivoted.
It's new.
I don't like the word
so
pivot
media.
or hustle. What a hustler. I am not a hustler. I'm a businessman.
I didn't know that anybody had said hustle.
No, you don't live in South California.
Since the 70s.
Yeah, you don't live in South
That was
California.
a dance.
Oh, a dance.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds better if it's a
The
dance.
hustle.
Yeah.
Disco shit.
I'm in South Carolina. We do the
Half
shag.
naked women. Great
I
idea.
don't know about that.
But
the hustle.
The hustle. So,
So
anyway, you
yeah.
pivoted.
How about a word?
Here's I have a friend, and I talked to him on the phone. Oh, it's been 3 or 4 months ago when all this stuff first happened. Nassim Taleb and I are kind of buddies, and he's a good guy, real good guy. He's just a fine individual, and we were talking about the economic ramifications of this thing, and he was adamant that people have to adapt. Mm-hmm. People have to adapt, and if you're unwilling to adapt in situations, then you're going to be left behind.
So
And a classic example is the automobile left buggy whip manufacturers out of business.
right.
And those guys had to learn how to do something. You know, it's the 19th century equivalent of learning to code, right?
Right.
So you took advantage of an opportunity of been selling equipment.
Well, yeah, that. I mean, I think the reason we got into that, though, here's another word: responsibility. Right. As soon as I got closed, I thought I am responsible to all the people that I pay. That
Yes.
I am their livelihood.
That's right.
To continue to do that. Right. So I said, what's the big picture? How can I do it? Give people gym equipment. They need to know. They need coaching. Coaches live through Zoom. And I was able to, still so far have been able to pay everyone the entire time. And that's kind of why I did it. So it wasn't like, pivot. Let me do it.
You
I
felt responsible.
I
You felt responsible to not only your employees,
but
to your members.
To the members, yes.
The members that look to you for their continued strength and
Right.
health. Now, my response to that was to not close.
Right.
I
Right.
lied. I lied.
He was open the whole time.
I was open the whole time.
Guns
I
loaded.
played like I wasn't open. And the reason I played like I wasn't open was because, I'm not over there, especially at this point in time. I was not over there to make a point. That was not the purpose of staying open, was to make a point. The purpose of staying open was to provide a place
Right.
for members that pay me to train, because they're paying me to train, and it's my gym, and I'm sorry, it's my decision whether to close or not. It's not local authorities' gym to close. It's my gym.
Right.
And I kept it open. And I hadn't been closed at all. And it was because of responsibility. I've got people that work for me that needed to be paid. I've got people that pay me
That expect a place to work out.
a place to work out. And so my job was to provide that. All right? And a lot of people quit coming in. That's their decision.
Right.
Their decision to make. They don't want to catch the deadly COVID-19 virus, then you stay home. Right? Anybody doesn't want to catch the deadly COVID-19 virus stays home. It's not my responsibility to keep them safe in their house.
It's their decision.
It's their decision whether to stay home or not. Right?
So
This is a fundamental disagreement with the popular approach to this that's been taken in American culture, because nowadays I'm responsible for you and everybody else,
Right.
but I'm not. Who am I responsible for?
Yourself.
I'm responsible for me, for the people that I pay to work for me and the people that pay me. Those are the people I'm responsible for. I'm not responsible for anybody's grandmother.
Right.
All right? If you don't want to make your grandmother sick, leave the poor old girl alone. But see, here's another decision you may have to make. It may be that your grandmother cares less about being sick than she cares about being by herself. Do you know how many people, and this can't be undone, you sacks of shit, this can't be undone, what you did to people that died by themselves in the hospital and in hospice and in rest homes because you decided that your decision about who they got to see was more important than their decision about who they got to see. I hope there's a hell for you to rot in for eternity, for your callous, pompous, authoritarian bullshit. Rot in hell, motherfucker. Right? I hope I'm not being ambiguous about that.
I think you got it across.
So there's been some fundamental, shit like that, Grant.
Yeah.
People don't understand how deeply damaged society is right now because a lot of us hate each other at this point. You know?
Yeah, it's
a lot of us hate each other. And I don't know how you walk that back. You know, like the pieces of shit that wouldn't let the 85-year-old lady's kids come see her as she's dying in the hospital. That doesn't go away. That doesn't go away. You city officials, you county officials, you state officials, you pieces of shit. You know, with no thought for anything except your reelection.
Yeah.
I hope there's a hell. But Grant, on the other hand,
adaptation.
Made lemonade.
Lemonade out of lemons.
Out of lemons.
I mean, we to work. Had to. And I think we did. We're not going to know, right? So I opened back up. Back to what you were talking about you stayed open. It wasn't to Defy. It was funny. I opened up. I called you, and I said the news wants to come.
Yeah.
And I told them when they came in, first thing out of my mouth, why did you defy Governor Newsom? And I said, I didn't. And that was never what I was trying to do. Right. I said, Orange County came out with guidelines that said you could open with limited services. And I thought, can I or can I not provide a safe place to train? This is a different thing. And I told her, I said, when Governor Newsom says gyms are closed, forget the part of whether he should be able to do that. When he says that, he's not thinking of the Strength Co. starting strength affiliate. Or
he's thinking of Gold's Gym.
He's thinking of Gold's Gym. And I said, I can open the doors. Turns out a barbell is already 7 feet 2 inches long.
Right.
You're already distanced, right? And so I said, I'm going to go ahead and open. This isn't about defying anybody. It's about the response. Because even the members at home in their garage with a live coach, guess what? They want to go back to the gym.
Right.
They want someone coaching them in person in real time, and they're begging me.
That's right.
Can you please open up? Not all of them. Some of them said, hey, I'm going to stay in my garage for a while. That's fine. That's fine.
Right.
But it's, it wasn't about defying anyone or doing anything wrong. It was, if I can do this safely. And I talked to, Taleb called me about the home gyms I had. And he said, how is that going? I said, well, it's kind of weird. Margins on the equipment, it's like there, but I'm doing it for the coaching. And he said, act like that's your only business. And if you get to open back up, it's a big plus. And I ran with that, right? And we kind of built out the online thing. And now we're open. And I think it is going to be a big plus. But, it's just, you had to do something. You couldn't just sit home. And that's what a lot, I think, small business owners did, or some did.
No, some of them.
At first they thought, it's going to be quick. And it wasn't quick.
Some of them thought, this is going to last 2 weeks.
Right.
And you can deal with it for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks came by, and then some bunch of fuckheads decided, it's going to have to be another 4 weeks. Another 2 weeks, another 4 weeks, another 3 months. Depends on where you live. And at some point, what are you going to do?
Right, yeah.
What are you going to do? You have no choice but to defy the orders.
Right.
You have no choice if you want to stay alive.
Right.
For example,
or do some type of adaptation.
Why do you think unemployment went down by 2.5% last month? Because people quit obeying the law.
Right.
The orders. They weren't laws, they were orders.
Right.
Because people quit obeying the orders. And that's why it was all unexpected.
Right.
Because their calculations and their
choice,
statistics were predicated on the fact that, well, everybody's obviously going to obey the orders. But they had no choice. You can't murder us and have us just stand here and let you do it. We're not. That's not what we're going to do.
Right.
It's not what we're going to do. And as a result, we didn't. And so some of us went back to work, even when we weren't supposed to, and that's why that statistic looked like it did. But what's interesting is you developed two interesting approaches that I think are worth discussing. The first is the biggest hole in the market for barbell training equipment was in plates.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you're working on here.
Okay, so you see the gap in the plates, and then the stuff you can get, it's overpriced. And as you look at what the real problem is, it's that everything, and you probably know the year better than me, but everything was moved out of the U.S. Everything. And even the stuff that moved to Canada still got moved to China. I had some guys from China calling me, trying to get me to move containers over. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to trust shipping times on containers. So that's when I first started calling foundries, right? So I called some foundries. I said, what can we do to make a made in USA plate?
Cast iron,
made in
plate.
USA, accurate, right?
Right.
And so I went to the first one, and the guy was kind of on board and, got me a quote. But to me, the price it came to me at was no good, right? It's already close to $2.
And he wasn't that on board either.
Right, so. right. So, but it didn't work. So then, through your guy, we found the other place. And what I've found, so what we're working on is a made in the USA cast iron plate that I think I should have a sample, within the next 4 weeks. So, probably 10, 12 weeks you're shipping. I got all the tooling costs today. I'll tell you about it. But basically, no, I don't understand why no one's done this here. Because when it first came back,
because it's so much cheaper to do it in China.
I mean, yes, of course.
That's
I don't care
why
about people's human life. Of course. But so what's happened is automotive industry has gone down, right? American automotive manufacturing gone down. So you have foundries all over the place that aren't able to stay open.
Right.
So, we finally found one that's hungry because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do, vertical casting. So horizontal, you lay out the iron plate, boom, you make your molds, whatever. And this is vertical. And so each different plate has its own thing. And I think, it's going to come where we can get it to the consumer at a competitive price.
Right.
But the question is, what's the market depth there? I have, every time I tweet something about, hey, we're working on this, I get 15, 20 people email me, right? From all over. Will you ship to Canada? Will you ship here?
Right.
And
no, there's a big demand. There's no
the
doubt
question
about
will be,
it.
will
big
people,
demand.
It's going to cost more than other stuff.
All the
in
current
long run.
sources of Chinese plates,
you can't even get
are out of stock.
Right.
With no projected end of the back order. It's there's a big market for this, and I think you're going to make a big dent in the market over the long term because people in the United States, especially considering the current situation, will pay a premium if it's not too onerous for an American-made product. I mean, did anybody know prior to all of this that 98% of the antibiotics in the pharmaceutical market were manufactured in China? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Any of you guys know that? I mean, this nobody knew that.
I mean, this is the problem
because this happened so quietly over the past 20 years that it became a giant ass problem, didn't it? And I think that people are aware of this now, and I think people are going to.
I think they'll pay premium too now. But back to what we talked about at the beginning, the ripple effect of this. Will people have the money to even do that, right? Let's say you come out and it's $2 a pound for brand new, made in the USA. I think there'll be a bunch of people that want that,
right?
But it's just going to be interesting, the ripple effect of the economy in terms of what can people actually pay for? Because we haven't seen it yet.
$2 a pound is a bunch of money.
Yeah, you're going to spend $800.
You're going to spend $800 on a barely adequate set.
You still need a bar.
And then you got to buy a bar, and you got to buy squat racks, you got to buy a bench, you got to buy all this other stuff.
Right.
You're going to have some money tied up in this, and then it becomes a calculation of how bad do I want to actually train.
And that's where I've seen the spike in people realizing, as they're calling for a gym, and I get the chance to pitch them of, hey, if you get your squat and your deadlift up, forget about all the stuff you did.
All this other shit you don't need to do.
This is actually going to make you better for life.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
And so now, and people that used to call the gym at random and not know what we did and weren't interested in strength training, it's like resonating with them now.
Yeah.
Because
there is a simple approach. And guess what? It's always been better, but now it may be the only option.
Right. I mean,
so suddenly we're all happy with people, right?
Right.
People are all happy with us.
Right.
Because they finally realize what we've been that what we've been saying the whole time
right the whole time
is efficient.
Right.
It's effective.
You don't need to go to the gym.
And you
6
don't
times
need
a week.
to figure out 17 ways to do a plank.
Right.
You need to get your deadlift up to 405.
Right. Yep.
Right. And it's going to take a while for that to filter through the deal.
But I feel like it's faster than normal.
This is a situation in which we find ourselves in a situation right now where we find that social media has solved a bunch of problems, right? But it has created more, I think, on balance than it has solved. Social media is a strange place.
Yeah.
Everybody's opinion is now just as available as everybody else's opinion. My opinion on brain surgery.
You're an expert.
Might be. If I can convince somebody that I'm not lying to them.
Right.
All right, so we got a plate problem.
Yep.
Here's another problem that I think this is probably the most interesting aspect of this. Online coaching has been a big deal now for several years. All right, online coaching has got several pretty severe limitations. If you're gonna squat your set of 5 today and video your set of 5 after you, and video your presses and then video your deadlifts, and you're gonna send it to me, and I'm gonna turn around the next day or a couple of days later, and I'm gonna type back to you about what I think I see in this video.
Right.
We have taken out a major part of coaching.
Real-time cues, bar speed,
Cues.
everything.
Cues.
Yeah.
Don't happen in online coaching. All right? Now, what is a cue? For those of you that are watching that aren't familiar with our highly developed terminology here, a cue is an extremely specific thing. All right? I'm going to teach you how to squat. All right? And I've got a teaching method that I've developed that works basically every single time I try it. I may have to adapt that teaching method to your particular ability to understand it, but pretty much we know how to teach you how to squat, all right? And we teach you with the empty bar. And then we add some weight, we do some more reps, sets of 5. We add some weight, we do some sets of 5. And we finally get up to a weight that's pretty heavy, and we're going to have you do, say, 3 sets of 5 with that same heavy weight. And I'm going to stand there on the platform with you, and I'm going to watch you squat. And I'm going to compare what I see on the platform to the model of the squat that I have taught you with my instruction. When I see a deviation from that model, it's my responsibility as the coach to say something to you or do something or somehow communicate to you right now about how to fix the next rep.
Right.
Not the next workout.
The next rep.
But the next rep needs to be corrected. And a cue is a reminder of something that we have taught you in the instruction, the teaching, about how to make the next rep better than the one I just saw that was not quite right.
That you can immediately implement.
And I immediately implement a cue.
Yeah.
And my ability as a coach is predicated on my ability to effectively fix the next rep. All right? Online coaching doesn't allow us to do that. The way it's normally conducted, online coaching means you video your work set today, and then I type some bullshit about how to fix it for the next workout in 48 hours. And hopefully you'll retain that, and hopefully you'll understand what I typed. Okay?
Hopefully you checked it before your next workout.
Hopefully I actually, you actually read my corrections and are trying your best, right? But really, that's not coaching.
It's got to be live.
It's program consultation. It's technique consultation, but it's not really what we call coaching. Coaching means I'm standing there and I am offering feedback about what I am seeing in real time right now.
Right.
Now, you lunatics out there have actually figured out a way to do that remotely. Tell us about this.
So I had started back in like February. I had these guys hit me up from Kentucky, and they were like, hey, we watch your stuff. We'd like to get coached by you. And I said, yeah, sure. Like, let me look. And I sent them back like the closest starting strength coach. Forget where it was, maybe Tennessee or something. They're like, no, we want to do it online. I said, look, I don't really do online if someone's never been coached. It's not worth it to me. If you could drive 2 hours and get something fixed, it's going to take me 2 months, over video review.
Right.
And they said, no. We do live stuff through Zoom. This is pre-COVID, right? Like, we do live stuff through Zoom. We'll set it all up. I said, all right, let's do it. So Mike and I hopped on the very first time, these two guys in their basement at Kentucky, and they got like 6 cameras, every angle. And I start coaching them, and I go, oh, this is sweet. And
You're actually coaching.
I'm actually coaching them. I was like, this is great. And so I said, hey, since I can do it from my house, I'll charge you a little bit less than, if I had to drive to the gym and coach you. Here's my rates. And they said, oh, let's do it again. So we did it again. And then we did it again. And then this happened. And so we already had that tool. And so I was busy deploying the gym equipment, doing everything. I took Connor, the starting strength coach that's with me, and I said, hey, here's everything I know about this. Figure it out. And he made up a packet, and that when someone wants to do this, it's the same thing we did before. We call our first session Intro to Barbells. Now it's Intro to Barbells Online. They get a packet first. Here's where you put your cameras, rear quarters, 6 feet high. Like if I'm standing in the room,
right.
And these now we're like today when you call me.
So you got instructions for where to place the cameras,
where to place the cameras, what kind of tripod,
exposure,
to get,
and all
everything.
Right.
And so we recommend 2 cameras. You can do it with 1, but 2 makes it where it's pretty good.
You got more information.
Yeah, more information. And when you called me earlier to move something, I was coaching this guy in Madrid. I coached him 3 times a week. He read your book 3-4 years ago,
right?
And he saw on Twitter like, oh, you're doing live coaching. And now we're reaching a whole new level of people live, right? And as the coach, I like it so much better because just like when, I'm coaching someone in the gym and they finish, I say, here's what you're going to do next time. Right. And I tell them right now. I don't have to go on some software and map out their calendar. I say, write this in your physical logbook.
Right.
And now I can do that. I hang up. And there's no more work I have to do with that person.
No,
and they log back on.
It's exactly the same thing as
coaching.
You would have done.
It's coaching.
While you were standing there, it's coaching.
Right.
It puts the responsibility for all of this stuff where it belongs on the lifter.
Yep.
Not on you.
Man, we talk a lot about personal responsibility.
Yes.
It's almost like it's a thing. But you lose tactile cues.
Right.
That's what you lose.
There's
okay.
nothing is going to be as good as standing there.
Never.
But this is way better than making a video recording with your phone and sending it in to somebody that's going to respond, not in real time, but maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day.
It's just a matter of people doing it the first time, right? Because to them, it's like you called me a lunatic for it. It sounds crazy. I'm going to set up a tripod and do it. And then they do it, and it works.
And it works.
And they go, oh, how do I sign up? Right? And so, no, it's a great tool. And so with all of that, you said you want to talk about adaptation. It was, okay, provide for the current members. Provide for the people that work at the Strength Co. Now there's all these people that want gym equipment. I believe they should get stronger. Okay, we'll make gym equipment. Now there's all these people that have gym equipment that don't know how to get stronger. What's the best thing we can do for them?
Right.
Coach them live. And so it's been
Well,
interesting.
I think this is a very important development. I really do. I've had a lot of misgivings about online coaching for years, and I think that this is a giant step forward.
Maybe I should make another T-shirt. Actual online coaching.
Actual online coaching.
I said it. That was my T-shirt. I made that. You get credit for that shirt. I made that shirt. For the record.
I know you did.
Yeah.
And
I know you know.
Not everybody knows.
Not everyone.
But now
knows.
they do.
Yeah, now they do.
Now they do.
Grant Broggi. Broggi.
Grant Broggi. See, you can't even pronounce
I can't
your
even
own
say
name.
my own name.
Your own name, correct.
South California. It's the Valley accent.
Yeah.
It's getting to me.
South California purple.
That's right.
That's what the next shirt needs to be.
South Carolina. Is the shirt going to be purple?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's good. Purple
For those
shirt,
of
South
you
Cal-
Chicago
okay, you're right.
fans.
Yeah.
Those of you Chicago fans in the audience. Well, these are some trying times. In these trying times, it's good to know that the human spirit of what words always follow a human spirit of adventure, of accomplishment, achievement, of never letting a bureaucrat fuck you in the ass.
Right. Personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
That's what you were looking for.
Right? That's what I'm looking for.
The human spirit of
personal responsibility is still alive and well, especially in South California.
We're turning it into South Carolina slowly. We're shipping grits out there.
Well, as long
Gulf
as you
shrimp.
don't ship too many
Gulf
South
shrimp.
Californians to South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they destroy everything they touch. Just ask Arizona.
South Carolina.
Ask Colorado. Ask Oregon. Ask Washington State.
Yeah.
Everything they touch, they destroy. So,
Good.
Sounds like things are coming along, and it sounds like you guys are doing well. And
good.
I'm proud of you, and I think that you guys are showing a lot of people the way to behave in a shitty situation, and that's worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for being
Appreciate
here today.
it.
Thanks for coming to see
Handshake.
us. Thank you. Yes. Without a mask, including the slobber.
I might infect you. You're old.
Fine. I'll gladly take it.
I already know you had it.
Let's get this shit
I
over
already
with.
know you had it.
I didn't have it.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't? You got tested?
I didn't have it.
Did you get tested?
But the tests are all false.
I got tested too.
The tests are false negatives. It's
We
all
had
bullshit.
it in Vegas.
The whole thing's bullshit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did. I think we did. Me
I
and
think we
Nick,
did.
I think we've had it.
Yeah. Well, Nick definitely had it. Yeah.
Look at him. I mean, God, if that's not the way a man looks with COVID-19, I don't know what is. Thank you for being here on Starting Strength Radio, and we will see you next Friday. Bye.